Hello, hello, good afternoon. This is Susan Bradley Bortfield, and I am here with an amazing guest today, Jacqueline Kane. And I'm so excited that you're here, Jacqueline. We're going to talk about healing your pain, right? We're going to talk about alternative therapies. We're going to talk about um, how you have the power to heal yourself. And I know that is hard to believe, right? But it's so true. So thank you so much for being here, Jacqueline. I'm so grateful to you. So I'm just going to share a little bit about Jacqueline. Jacqueline Kane is the Stop the Pain specialist. She supports women in discovering the crucial hidden links between their physical pain, finances, and their ability to live a full life. She has over 15 years in private practice as a healer and over 30 years in healthcare. Jacqueline has merged her innate wisdom with a multitude of healing modalities to create a unique, results-oriented method of healing. Yes, and today we are going to talk about true healing, what it takes to truly heal, and your power. So thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Susan.
So Jacqueline, I wanted to have you on here because I've gotten to know you quite well over these last several months. And what you do is so important, especially in today's world, right? So I'd like to start off by asking you, what made you get into the alternative ways of healing? What was that all about?
So I think I've always been into alternative, even before I started studying it. And by studying it, meaning paying to learn alternative stuff. I was always into self-help books, just trying to figure myself out. And I was just always attracted to that, even at a young age. But I had my first, after high school, I went on to become an X-ray technologist. So I took X-rays. I didn't read them, I took them. And in that course, I learned a lot about the body. And then I had my first massage on a cruise ship. And it was awesome. It was amazing. So I was always, before that massage, I was always that person who just wanted to go, go, go. And I had this long list of things in my head, this list, never ending. After that massage, like there was nothing in there. I couldn't think. I was just like present in the moment. It was funny because I couldn't even get dressed for that night. I just wanted to like lay down and just be in that moment. My friends dressed me. They put my hair and makeup on. They really forced me to go out. But it was shocking to me that I didn't have any thoughts. And so it really made me curious about massage therapy. And I knew in that moment that that was going to be a part of my life going forward. But as life had it, years later, I got married, had children, and then I was doing mammograms at the time, and the secretary came in. You know those moments when the universe is like, okay, giving you little signs. She came in one day and she said, I'm going to go to school for massage therapy. And I was like, wait a minute, that's my dream. That's my desire. So it really pushed me to research the school, how to do it. And I ended up going. And then it just led me on a path to constantly improve. I started my own business, massage therapy, and massage is great, but it wasn't helping everybody. And I love feeling good, but I wanted to help my clients even more to really get out of the pain that they were living with. So it just led me to learn more therapies, Bowen therapy, which is a neuromuscular repatterning of the body, EFT, hypnosis, visualizations. And now I package it all together to give people the tools and to help them step more in their power to know that they can heal themselves.
Okay. Yes, right. And I'm living, walking proof of that because you know my story, right? But for those of you watching that don't know my story, I have cerebral palsy. I was born with cerebral palsy, and it affects the whole left side of my body, which just means my muscles are like this 24/7. And I had some serious things happening in my life where my sister died and she left behind 3 kids, and I started having sciatic pain, and it just progressed. And because my cerebral palsy, it's, I have spasms on my left side, it just wouldn't heal. It just wouldn't heal, to the point that I had to leave my career. And I I I I couldn't I was done. I was in so much pain that before I got home from work, I would be calling my honey going, "Honey, I'm on my way home. I'm almost there. Can you meet me in the driveway?" And he would come out and he would literally pull me out of the car as I'm, grimacing. He would help me up the stairs and into bed. And that was my life. But for me, it was mental, right? I fought against being labeled disabled my whole life. So I continued to work, and I continued this pattern of calling my boyfriend to carry me up the stairs every day. And finally, the universe, just like you received a sign, the universe shut down my computers. Like I was a manager for a high volume insurance agency, and my guides, my angels were watching out for me. They shut down my computers because they knew if I couldn't work, then maybe I would give myself permission to heal. And so I finally gave in, and I went to the doctors, and within 4 months, I was on 22 pills. And then within 6 months, I was on 22 pills and a fentanyl patch. And it was, I knew if something didn't change, I was going to die. I knew I was going to die. And this is why it's so important for me to support amazing healers like yourself, because I know this is happening all the time, everywhere, right? So I'm all drugged up. I was still in pain. I was actually in more pain. I couldn't even walk anymore. They gave me Botox in my left leg and my foot to stop the spasms. And what happened, my foot just froze like that. So then I literally couldn't walk. I couldn't stand or sit for more than 5 minutes. And so I was shopping for wheelchairs. And I had a meeting with like 3 or 4 of the doctors that I've seen, and they recommended I get a pain pump in my body and surgically implanted in my body. And so there came a time where, I was just like, if I can't walk and I can't work, who am I? Right? And then I heard it as clear as day. You are love. And so in that moment, like, I had this major understanding of how I wasn't loving myself, how I wasn't supporting myself in all the ways, in a compassionate way, that I wasn't showing up for myself. And so I was led on this journey to seek alternative healing. And so I healed myself. I took myself off all the pills. I do not recommend anybody doing that, but this is right. I'm not saying take yourself off the pills, but what I am saying is it's important you're your own advocate. It's important that when you are going down the rabbit hole, that you are your own advocate, right? That you question the doctors. And so I was afraid to tell my doctor. I was like, that's how bad is that, right? When you're in so much pain, you think you're dying, but you're afraid to talk to your doctor because you think they're going to implant a pump in your body, or they're going to put you on some new medication, right? So that's what happened to me. And so I was guided to connect with the healer, and I started guided meditation with frequency, high frequencies, healing frequencies. Um, and I did some tapping, and I did some other things, and I healed. I healed myself within 4 months. You know, I was able to like walk and go outside, you know. And then I decided to become a coach. Like my whole life changed, but I wouldn't change a thing. But this is why it's so important, because healers like you are the stop the pain specialist. You understand, right? And we've talked about this many times, that every trauma, everything that happens in our life, right? Our body, it gets stored in our body. So when we don't release it with like massage or with other alternatives, with fun, with laughter, with joy, that it gets stored and stuffed in there. And then that's what manifests into the pain. Can you explain more about what I'm talking about to people?
Yeah, and Sue, you're not alone. I mean, I hear so many of my clients. I have one client who came to me. She had 9 surgeries in her lifetime, and her pain levels were still like an 8, 9, and 10 every single day. And she was just getting worse. And she came to me a few years ago, and she's like, Jack, it's either I don't know what to do, because she was coming to me for massage and Bowen therapy, but again, that wasn't enough to get to the root cause. So her choices were to go to the doctor and to take more medication, or have surgery, or just to go deeper into what are our thoughts, our programming, what's the energy in the body that's causing the pain. So I believe that all the trauma we've ever been through, if, like you said, if that energy is not released, we suppress it, right? Because we don't want to think about it. But trauma and emotions are energy and motion. So what do we do with that energy? That energy gets suppressed because we don't want to think about it. It gets suppressed until there's a time in our life when the mind can't keep it all contained anymore. And then it starts leaching out into the physical body, and it shows up as arthritis, fibromyalgia, all these autoimmune issues, right? Where women are like, and I say women because it's mostly women who are dealing with this kind of physical pain. And it comes out as physical pain and illness. And we've been taught that we need a doctor or something outside of us to heal me, right?
Yes. Yes.
And over again. Yeah.
It's so true. Like all that trauma, all those, all, you know, say like a teacher calls you stupid, or, you know, somebody does something mean to you, or you fall and break your leg. All of that gets stored in our tissues and our cells and our muscles,
Yeah.
right? So it's so important that we find ways to release it. And I always say stress in, stress out. So if you have 15 minutes of stress during the day, you have to release it out, and you can do it by dancing, by laughing, by playing, you know, those kind of simple things. But if you live in a high stress environment, or you live you know, or if you have a job or something and you're constantly stressed out, that stress is, you might not feel pain now, but all that stress you're taking on.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it becomes like your luggage, right? Like you're carrying around this heaviness, right? I mean, think about those people who retire and they end up passing away because the stress has been too much, and they don't get to enjoy it. So it is, we carry all of this. And I think, our generations before us weren't allowed to talk about their feelings, to talk about their worries and concerns. And some of us still hold that true. Like, we can't talk about it. We can't talk about our feelings. But what would it be like if we all talked about our feelings, especially teaching our children, how are you feeling today? So that they're not constantly carrying this baggage, which over time we create beliefs about ourselves in the world that maybe I'm not safe, maybe I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy,
Right.
I don't deserve, right? I don't deserve to set boundaries and say it's not okay to treat me that way, right?
Yes, it's not okay, right?
Not okay.
But in my moment of realization that I was love, right? It up until that time, I didn't realize that I wasn't loving myself. I didn't know, right?
Right.
So many of you watching this broadcast or replay, do you really love yourself? Right? Because it starts there. That's why it's so important that I support amazing healers like yourself to do what you do for humanity, for people that are suffering, to realize there's a better way. Now, I'm not knocking the doctors. I'm not saying don't ever go to the doctors. There's a time and a place to go to the doctors. But I want to bring awareness, Jacqueline, because, you know, my pain level, how it increased, like to the ultimate pain where they were considering a pain pump, was because all those drugs were interacting with each other, and much of my pain was side effects, right? Is there side effects to tapping?
No. I did a video once. The side effects are, let me see, you may have more energy, may have less pain, you may be happy, you may feel joyful, and it's not overnight. And yeah, you may have to do things, right?
Right.
Soon after, I would say, boy, I would say the majority of my clients after their sessions, they feel amazing. And then you build on it, right? So,
Yeah, so it's layers, right? I always like, now I understand it's like, because all that trauma and drama and self-abuse, because we are our worst self-abusers, people, right?
we're very good at punishing ourselves.
We are so good at punishing ourselves, and we have to stop, especially as women. Come on, women, we have to love and honor ourselves more than
Yeah.
anyone else,
And
right?
that's the secret, Susan. Like, we're always going to have, I believe, we could always have some kind of pain. Just vacuuming sometimes can give me a little pain, low back stiffness, right? Or
Right.
have a little pain. So it's more about energy maintenance and what can I do on a daily basis to keep my energy up? Because I am not about you coming to me and I fix you. No, no, no. I'm giving you the tools and the techniques so that you can every day stay in your power and live your desired life and be very in tune to your patterns. When is that self-saboteur coming up? When am I giving in? When am I people pleasing?
Yeah.
Notice when all these things are showing up and then redirect.
Yes. Yes.
What and who is draining my energy and how can I keep my energy up?
I love that you said that, right? Because you're not God, right? Well,
Well,
I kind of believe that you are, right? We all are. We are of God.
we
That's a
all
whole
are.
different conversation, people. We'll get into that at another date. But oh goodness. So you are the facilitator, right? We are the power to heal. Our bodies are so amazing. If you ever had a cut, on your hand or something, within a few days it heals itself. It's like our bodies have the power to heal itself. And it's just tapping and bowing therapies and massage therapy and Reiki and all of those modalities, they just activate and enhance the body's power to heal itself. Is that a true statement?
Absolutely. And learning, like, I mean, I lived with pain too. I had low back pain and hip pain. And one of the books I love and I recommend is Louise Hay's You Can Heal Yourself. And for each pain, there's an underlying emotion or belief system that goes along with it, right? So what are the beliefs that I have about going forward and stepping up? I mean, years ago, I could never do an interview like this. I had to do the work to step in and heal myself and all the limiting beliefs and blocks that I had that I didn't be capable. I believed that nobody was listening to me, and I didn't have anything that anybody would want to listen to. And it's funny how those beliefs show up, right? Life mirrors back my beliefs.
Right.
Got
Isn't that
that.
true? That's what it's all about. Whatever our experience is, it really is based on our beliefs. So so you have you work in a physical building where you have your healing practice, but you also work with people around the world online, which is, just like this interview, it can be that comfortable. So you do massage therapy, hypnotherapy, Bowen therapy, and EFT. And so you also help people release the karmic patterns that their ancestors, our ancestors and everything, right? Because what we believe in the way that we develop as humans, right? A lot of that is carried over from lifetime to lifetime, right? So you do ancestral clearings, which is super, super cool, right? Do you normally like to start there with your clients?
I think that's a very important place to start, to figure out, okay, so I have all this fear and worry and this trauma in my body. Is it mine or was it handed down to me so many times? So, for example, for myself, I grew up with a lot of fear. I lived every day in fear, and I didn't know why or where it came from. What was I really afraid of? And back then, I did massage, I did meditation, and I did talk therapy. I did all these things, but I still had this underlying fear, and I couldn't figure out what it was from. So I experienced an ancestral clearing where we released and sent back all that baggage, that karma that we were taking on for our family, because most of the times there's at least one or two people who carry the emotional discord for the family. And I felt a huge shift ever since then. And when I started doing even more about it, it was like that fear wasn't mine. See, my mother grew up in Sardinia, Italy during World War II while her father was away fighting the war. Her mother was home with 3 young children with German soldiers walking around her village.
Yeah.
I could only imagine the level of fear my grandmother felt, and all of everybody in that village, right? That was a very scary time. And back then, they didn't talk about it. It was too scary to even talk about it because you made it real. So she suppressed all of that. But as children, we absorb all the energy from our parents.
Yeah, we do.
So then we're conceived in our mother, So as we're conceived in our mother and we spend 9 months, we take on all her energy,
Yeah.
fear and worry and grief and sadness and all the ancestors. And then you bring in dad's side, right? I mean, they're
Yeah. I want to talk about the story because you collaborate. You're an amazing collaborator. You collaborate with people in your facility in Connecticut, right?
yeah.
And so you were at a meeting recently, like a month ago, and um, they brought up somebody that they knew, but you did an ancestral healing with.
Yeah.
And what was said about it?
Oh my God. So, yeah, you never know sometimes how what the work I do and how it ripples out and how it changes people and how people look at that person differently. So, in my building, I had worked with one of the practitioners, and I had a meeting with the owner of the building and the managers, and they brought up this practitioner that I worked with, and they were like, wow, he's so different. He's dressing different. He's speaking up different. He's now when he puts on a workshop, people are actually showing up. What happened? And the manager was like, I traced it back to the time he had a session with Jacqueline, and it all started then. So, it's kind of hard for me to take that in, or, it kind of feels like, oh my God, who am I? But that's the ripple effect. He was open to doing the work, right? And that's a big step too. You have to be open to learn something that you may have heard about in a new way. Just be open to what the possibility is. And then he took it off and ran with it. He's been doing amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you can release that baggage, when you can release that trauma, that's what happens. It's like, I mean, for me, my healing was like the skies parted and the light came down, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden, instead of living in a dark world, I lived in a bright world, right? Where everything was possible. So that's the power that, even though you were the facilitator, he was open to having that healing take place. And that's what it's about. If somebody connects with you and they're like, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, it's probably not going to work, people. Okay, it's probably not going to work. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to be open to receiving the healing, whatever that looks like, then miracles can happen. Miracles can happen. And so it's really important at this day and age that we're having talks and we're bringing awareness to these alternative healing, because if I didn't seek out alternative healing, to be honest, I think I would be dead. I would really be dead. And so also my granddaughter lost her father at 2 years old. And when it was investigated, he was on like 12 different medications, Oxycontin, Vicodin, morphine. He was on all these medications for his back. His back went out at work. And so it was one doctor. When I heard the list of prescriptions, this was well before I had my own experience with the doctors, I thought he was doctor hopping, but it wasn't true. He was receiving all those hardcore drugs from one dealer, a doctor. And I'm saying that because sometimes that's what they turn out to be, right? Sometimes, like my doctor, even unknowingly doing you more harm than good, right? So I want people to understand it's your responsibility to question your doctors. And when you get your prescription refilled, look at the side effects, right? Look at the side effects. And then if you're on more than one medication, talk to the pharmacist and ask if these drugs interact with each other, right? Because you in the States, I don't know how it is in other countries, I can only speak for here. You go to your primary care doctor and then they don't know what the hell's going on. So they send you to this specialist and then you're sent to this specialist and you're sent for these tests. And all these individual doctors are prescribing you pills, right?
And
So
with HIPAA laws, there's not enough communication. My mother recently went from her regular physician center to an orthopedic surgeon, and every time I went back to the regular physician, I said, so you got the report, right? And they're like, no, you have to tell them. And it was like this big, it took a while. Communicate. Why are they not communicating? I want
right.
to communicate.
I think like your primary care physician should be responsible for you. So any like prescribed medication or whatever, it has to go through your primary care. That's how I feel about it. And I think that, there has to be some sort of accountability, because what happened was I kept getting worse. And so once I was clear and I had cut back on the medication, 80% of my pain, because I would put my foot on the floor and I would cry. I would literally cry just putting my feet on the floor. It was like nerves going through my feet, through my hands. Like I was just a bundle of nerves. And so I don't want to say 80% because I was in a lot of pain when I started, but the majority of the pain that was causing me to be bedridden for a year was side effects. It was side effects. So that's why it's so important, and I'm so committed to getting this message out to the world. And so if you're watching this and you're resonating with it and you know someone that's on a ton of medication and they're not getting better, share this interview, right? Because medicine, pain pills do not heal. They do not heal. But modalities like EFT and Reiki, that releases like the frequencies, the frequency music that I was listening to, it really heals on a DNA level. Like the alternative healing is the way to true healing. It's the way to truly heal your body and your life. Yes, if you have cancer, go to the doctor. If you have, use your discretion, but don't allow them to take you down the rabbit hole with no explanation. Right?
Yeah, everybody does need to be their own advocate and tune into their intuition and trust their intuition. Is this right for me? Is this the right doctor for me? Really ask those questions. And it would be nice if it was a good combination, right? No matter what illness you're living with. People have cured themselves from cancer. Cancer is no longer a death sentence.
Except for they're still using the same the same method.
Ways of healing. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
Right. So it would be nice to merge all these things. Because we have amazing technology in healthcare. Amazing things when it's needed. But first try things that aren't going to really shift your body and make it a permanent one-way direction.
Or another thing is, let your doctor know that you want to use alternative healing in conjunction with what your doctor is doing. Like, this is really important because there's so many things that doctors do that can help you, but it can even be more effective when coupled with Reiki, or coupled
Absolutely.
with EFT, or coupled with, frequency music. These are important.
They're proving now when we have a shift in our healing and we let go of all the trauma, that is energetically, there's a shift in the cellular DNA in the body. It's proven now with science.
Traditional medicine is still, after everything we know, after everything science has proven about the body, about the mind, about who we are, quantum physics, still shutting down and not acknowledging the power of alternative medicine.
When you go back to that root cause and heal it, the pain's no longer there. There's nothing, you're no longer triggered.
And that's the secret, right? Because once you release the trauma, make peace with whatever it is that's causing your pain, it's gone. It's gone forever, right? So, yeah, it's just so powerful. Like, I wrote a love letter to my pain. I wrote a love letter because your pain, it's not trying to do you harm. It's like alerting you that your body needs care. And that's all pain is. It's just alerting you that there's something off within your body, so you just need to pay attention. I resented my body. I resented my pain. But everything changed when I loved my body, when I made peace with the pain. I understood the gift that the pain was for me, because, yeah, I mean,
there's always a gift in the pain. Yeah.
there's always, like, your body loves you so much that it's giving you pain so that you can say, oh wow, I'm in pain, what's going on, what do I need, what can help me? But instead we're like, oh, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop a pill and I'm going to go to work, right? I used to cash in every year my vacation. I never even took vacation, people. I was one of those thinking that I was, doing the right thing. It's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, especially women, like, give yourself permission to care for yourself. Give yourself permission to take that time for yourself. Give yourself 30 minutes every single day of me time. Listen to an audio, meditate, get a massage, do something for you. You are the mothers of the earth, right? Without you, there would be no humanity. Yeah. Without you, I wouldn't be here, right? So, women, it's time that we become our own advocate, our own lover, our own best friend. And when we can do that, it's better for everyone.
Yeah, because so many women and moms are depleted. They're exhausted because they believed that if they were the good little girl and took care of everybody else, that life would be great. And they thought it was their job. But we end up living a life of depletion and there's nothing left.
I remember when I was in, like, one of my worst times with the pain before I left work. But my sister died, so I would go to, I live in Rhode Island. I would go to Connecticut and see the kids all the time. And so I was bringing them school clothes shopping, and I'm in the mall, like, limping to the next bench. And then I'm like, if you see anything in there, come and get me. I mean, limping to the next bench. But instead of saying, you know what, right now is not a good time for me to do that, and maybe asking somebody else to take them shopping, I felt like I had to take care of everything myself. And it just wasn't true, because when the point came where I couldn't take care of anyone else, anymore, and that I really had to focus on taking care of myself, everybody survived.
Yeah.
Go figure, right? Yes, they had to close my office down and shuffle people next door to another building, but the company is still thriving, right? Go figure.
Yeah.
They didn't need me to not take vacation. They would
Yeah.
have been just fine.
But it's really hard to do that, right? It's really hard to say, can't do it today because the guilt and the shame and the worry and, oh my God, what's everybody going to think about me? And I have to, aren't I supposed to do this? Right? Like it's really hard to say, whew, I can't do it today.
Yeah, and to be okay with it. And to just, regardless what it is, if you're suffering and you're in pain and you're not feeling good, but your friend wants you to go to lunch and you feel like you have to go to lunch because you haven't seen this friend forever, do a Zoom call instead. Just give yourself permission to say no. Give yourself permission, because that's what I needed. I never gave myself permission to say no. To say no to people.
I love the phrase, saying no is a yes to you.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
It's the ultimate love that you can give yourself. And if you want to live an extraordinary life, if you want to live a healthy life, you have to love yourself first.
Yeah. And when you do that, you give other people the permission to love themselves.
Yeah.
Train them that you are important. Everybody's important.
Yeah.
And
It's
energy.
time, right? And I'm just going to share one more thing that I think is an important thing. Like my dad, he has passed. He lived, a good life, but he there was some things that his doctor was prescribing him, blood thinners, right? But then he was having problems with his feet and everything. He kept saying that he was in pain, and I'm like, Dad, you need to question the doctor. Oh, the doctor already knows. He told me what to do, right? He prescribed this. My doctor knows everything, right? My doctor knows everything. Like trying to have my dad question the doctor was like asking him to question God, okay? And this is so important because what happened was my dad's circulation was so bad caused by the medication. This is why it's important, because his foot turned black and he almost had to have his whole leg amputated because it got infected. And it was only by accident that my brother-in-law saw my father's foot that was black. My dad was blind, people, so he couldn't see that his foot was black.
Wow.
Okay. And I kept saying, Dad, you got to tell the doctor your leg's still in pain. And I'm like 4 states away trying to, so I couldn't see his foot either. And so by the time he went to the doctors, he almost lost his whole leg, but instead they only had to take a toe. And so, but this is why it's like, question your doctor. Question your doctor. What are the side effects? How long do I have to take this? Will this help me heal? Does this heal me, or do I need to seek other alternative ways to get true healing? Is this medication going to just cover up the symptoms and make me feel better temporarily? How long am I going to have to be on it? What is your plan for me if this doesn't work? If I don't heal, what's your plan for me? Right?
Really good questions.
Right? So so I think knowing what to ask your doctor and not being afraid to ask your doctor. Remember, they're in a rush. In the United States, they're only given like 15 minutes with people. You get like 15, maybe 20 minutes of time with your doctor, and then they're sending you to all these other doctors, and they don't know what those other doctors are telling you to do. Right? So,
and we we think that there's communication. So sometimes we think they know, but they may not have all the information. So yeah, really ask your doctor, did you get the report from this? Did you get this report? I did this.
That's a good point, right? Did you get the report? So we're not knocking, telling you guys never to go to the doctors. That's not what we're saying.
No.
But what we are saying is medication has side effects, and they're not positive side effects. Alternative healing has positive side effects with no negative side effects. Okay, I've never heard of anybody. Well, okay, you might cry, but that's just the releasing of whatever trauma you needed to heal, right? So, and you don't, with alternative therapy, you don't, it's not like a therapist office where you're talking about your woes and all of that. You can literally release trauma without having to beat the drum of the past.
Yeah.
It's really a very powerful thing. And please share this interview out on your pages with your friends, with your family. If you have elderly parents, or go to the doctor with them, or have somebody go to the doctor with them, so that these questions are being asked. Support your physician in supporting you, right?
Yeah, really make it a good team. This is your self-care team. Your success health team. How can you work together to make it a better experience?
I don't know if you guys saw that commercial. Like it's pretty telling. It's a commercial. I don't even know what the commercial is about, but this guy is in the hospital bed and his wife is there, and the nurse is taking the vitals, and he's like, "Oh, have you heard of Dr. Howard," or whatever the guy's name is? And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Well, what do you think of him?" "He's okay." And then the doctor comes into the room. He's like, "Guess who got reinstated?" And the guy's on the bed getting ready for surgery. And you know what? That could be your surgeon, but we don't ask.
Yeah.
We don't say, "Hey, have you ever been suspended? Hey, have you ever killed anybody?" We ask more questions of our hairdresser than we do of our physician. Is that the truth?
It is the truth. It is the truth.
That's so ass backwards.
It's the truth.
Question, because I didn't question him either. Hey, I'm not judging, because I never questioned either, and it almost killed me. And that's why we're doing these interviews. Now, Jacqueline, you are an amazing, amazing healer. I know your heart. I know how much you care about your clients. You care about their wellness. You're out there like doing workshops and really trying to bring awareness and serving as many people as you can. So you have an amazing Facebook group called Stop the Pain with Jacqueline Kane. And I'm going to put a link with this interview that people should definitely join. But you're also offering them a consultation where they can come in to you and have the experience of a healing, so that they can see what it's all about, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you're in pain and if you have questions about your illness, whatever it is, and you're looking for answers, let's meet. If you're not in Connecticut, then we can get on the phone and have a quick 10-minute healing session so that you can experience what it is I do. And in that healing session and in the call, I'm going to help you get down to the root cause of what you need to do to heal, why it's been so hard to heal, and why it's been so hard for you to get out of pain and stay out of pain.
Say even if you are not experiencing the physical pain yet, but you know that you have trauma, you know that your job is really stressful, connect with Jacqueline, because you can get ahead of the game and make sure that that never goes into a flare up of suffering, right? Suffering is optional. I am walking living proof. I went from being bedridden for a year, not being able to walk or stand for more than 5 minutes. Having a conversation with me was like having a conversation with a wet nap. When I took control of my own health, when I took control of my own life, magic happened. And within 4 months, I was entering the coaching academy to become a coach, and I had a brand new life, right? I had a brand new life, and now, I'm doing very well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me get this message out to the world, because it is so important that people understand their own power, that they can heal their own body, and that suffering is optional. And it's time. We're entering 2020, people. And so this is a new way of showing up for not only ourselves, but for creating our society in the way that we want it to go. Do we want to continue with these drug crises and it could happen to you if you don't become your own advocate in the healthcare system. You could be that statistic. Okay, it could happen to you. It almost happened to me. So get ahead of the game. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. And yeah, that's what I have to say. So
yeah, and I work with, so if you have emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, whatever it is, let's get on the phone and talk and see what your options are.
connect with Jacqueline, see how she can help you, and she will be honest. If she thinks that you need to go to the doctor, she's going to tell you, right? Yeah. So very, very important. So thank you, Jacqueline, very much. And yeah, and I'll put all the links with this interview so that you can connect with Jacqueline directly. You can check out her website. It's JacquelineKane.com, right?
Jacqueline M. Kane.
Okay.
Yep.
JacquelineMKane.com, and that's Kane with the K, Kane. Yes. And on her website, there's plenty of ways to connect with her as well. So thank you. I love you all. Let's shift the way that we think about healthcare in its truest form and release the pain forever. Much love.
Thank you.
Bye.